Okay, today we're going to talk about watercolor techniques and practice a few of them. The first thing you need to know about watercolor is that you are painting with water. You'll notice that there's not any white across here. That's because you use water to lighten your values so that the white paper comes through to lighten your value. So the less water that you use, the darker your value. The more water you use, the lighter your value. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at today in practice is wet on dry. It's exactly as it sounds. Okay, and also notice that we're going to be using a watercolor brush. Watercolor brushes are a little different. They're like a mop. They need to hold water. Okay, so when you dip your paintbrush into water, it's going to hold the water in, and you could just kind of swirl it around the paint. Okay, so we're loosening up the pigment. And the first technique is wet on dry. So we're going to use wet paint on dry paper. It's pretty self-explanatory. So I'm just going to add some color. And you've probably all done this in elementary school before. And what you've also probably done before is messed up a painting. Because the thing you need to worry or learn about watercolor is that the paint will only go where there's water. So if I wanted to paint red next to blue, I would need to let the blue dry, because here's what will happen if you don't. Be painting along, and then all of a sudden you touch the other color, and then they start to bleed together. Okay? All right, so that's wet on dry. Okay, now I'm going to practice wet on wet. So if we had wet on dry here, wet paint on dry paper, then you can guess that wet on wet is wet paint on wet paper. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to add water on our paper. We're wetting it, okay? Then I'm going to take some paint, and I'm going to touch where there was water. Okay, so this kind of proves that the paint will only go where the paper is wet. Okay, so this is a wet on wet technique. Just kind of flows like a river. Now keep in mind that you're not using a good watercolor paper. This is just regular copy paper, so it's not going to react the way it will with watercolor paper. Watercolor paper is a little heavier, and it can take a water-based media a lot better than this thin paper can. Okay, the good thing about wet on wet is you can blend colors together. So I'm going to add a little bit of green, and so the green is just going to kind of flow where there is water. Okay, I can go back and add some water on my paper so it flows a little easier. Okay, you can just watch it go. So that's wet on wet. Okay, the next three that we're going to do are washes. Okay, the flat wash is used early in a painting. It shows flat areas and can be used to fill in background color area like a sky. So the flat wash, your goal is to have the same color all the way down. I'm going to use blue again. And you're going to use the tip of your brush, and your goal is to make a big area with the same exact color and value all the way down. Okay, so if you'll notice, I kept loading my brush. It got a little dry, so I put some more water in it. Okay, consistent color. That's a flat wash. Okay, the next is a graded wash. This is also used early in a painting, and it's a gradation. Remember the shading worksheet that we did where it faded from dark to light? This is what a graded wash is. It's going to gradually get lighter. So I'm going to add a color at the top, Okay, a pretty dark color. Then I'm going to rinse that out of my brush and add water. Rinse that, add water again. Okay, each time I add water, there's less and less pigment. So it's getting lighter as it goes down. Now, my paper is rippling, again because it's copy paper, but you can see that it gets lighter. If it's not dark enough, you can always go back and add a little more at the top. See if you can get yours to fade into a white. Okay, so that's a graded wash. Okay, the last one at the top is going to be a blended wash. This is what a lot of you will be doing when you do the sky in your background. So again, I'm going to start with a blue. I didn't put a lot of water in my blue because I want it to be a really dark, concentrated color. Okay, so I'm going to put some blue at the top. And I'm wanting it to fade into a light blue. Okay. Now I'm going to get red. And I want that to fade into a pink color. Okay, like the graded wash. So when they finally meet in the middle, they will blend together. Okay, so that is the blended wash. Two colors blend together.